Hi everyone, Wrath here, and this is going to be my Helltide guide. So the first thing I want to mention for Helltides and hardcore is safety. Something I noticed is that the number one way to reduce safety is increasing monster power. I think back to when mine cages were in the game, and I would throw three of those things on, and my character was woefully unprepared. And normally, running around the Helltide is fine till it's not, and then you just fall over dead. So, several things to be mindful of um, is Bloodseekers. I have been getting a lot of feedback from friends and clan members, as well as my own experience. They're hitting like trucks. Some ability they do when that worm emerges from the ground, it does damage. So I've learned to be terrified of that worm. Now, if you are starting out and you are in low torments, I recommend starting with Wretched Vermin, Fall of the Fell, and then Ashes to Ashes. When you are going to Helltides, you are farming ranks and experience. Most of the juice and the resources you need are going to be the rewards from your war plan table, and just existing in the world of Sanctuary. When it's time for the right item to drop, it's going to drop, and prior to then, you're just going to need to move on. There's really not a whole lot on this table that is going to make or break your game. But what will make or break your game is speed. So you're going to spend your first three ranks focusing on speed. No one should really care about this, but it probably is a struggle for softcore. So God bless Blizzard for putting it in the game. Um, Hell's Prize. When I It's going to take you a long time to farm up 66, and you are probably not going to see anything significantly important. Um, you're not going to see anything significantly important in that chest. I experimented with it at lower torments. You will get a deluge of items. I suppose it's possible that you could find something within that deluge of items to work with the cube, um, but it's probably going to be at a point in the game where the cube intimidates a lot of people. It intimidated me. It's If you're not familiar with that form of crafting, you're not going to want to touch it, and that chest probably isn't going to be for you. Now, when you get into the deeper torments and upgrades are starting to become a struggle and you are deluged in cinders, it's going to become way more appealing to buy this chest. Um, After that, or prior to that, if you didn't buy this chest right away, what I would recommend, and you're climbing in the ranks, what I would recommend is going into Hellmouth. This is going to cause additional crap to appear in the Hellworm. At first, it's going to be random. The Chaos Rifts, I have no clue what the Chaos Rifts do. I assume that they have something similar to the Chaos season. The ones in the Helltide were very lackluster, and this is what I spent most of my time playing with the Chaos Rifts and just didn't really enjoy it. So do it if they were broken and they weren't spawning stuff early on. Do with that what you will. Um, I actually spent a lot of time with Bloodseekers as well. I wasn't really thrilled with them either. Did not get a whole lot of ancestral items. You can spec back into this, but I found in the earlier tournaments that Duriel ended up matching my gameplay objectives. So everything that comes out of the worm is going to have higher monster power, which normally I wouldn't recommend, but this is going to be a huge source of layer keys. Part of your end game um, rotation is going to be farming this stuff. So you're going to want to farm up your layer keys. And boss trophies, you probably don't actually want to spec into boss trophies. This is what my boss trophy page looks like. And I've given away about 40 to 50 of each one. Um, you can use the trophies to hunt for gear. Um, X is killing Butcher a lot, so we can get a bunch of Ramaladnis. So you kill Butcher, you don't get anything, you at least get some meat. You can get these resources from various points. You notice that I have a ton. I have a ton of blood just because the maiden dies a lot because she's also worth favors. Um, you can use this on new characters. You can give this to people. It's an additional layer of gambling that I find somewhat lackluster, but it's there. I personally, I think a lot of people will not find it to be of major benefit. Maybe this changes in the future, but that's just my personal read on it. Now, once you're at endgame, you're playing a barbarian, you're playing a sorc, your toughness is 8 million or more. 8 million is about how much toughness you want for consistently farming the more difficult aspects of Torment 12. You don't need 8 million toughness for all of Torment 12, but you will need it for anything that hits hard. So obviously the pits, Blood Maiden, any of the lair bosses. Actually, for the lair bosses, I would probably recommend 9 to 10 million. And if you're planning on doing T12, Mephisto, Lilith, Belial, you're probably going to want to do somewhere around 12 million if I had to guess based on everything else so far. You can eventually you'll want to start farming materials for your end game loop. Once you're sufficiently through T12, that's when I recommend you start looking at this other side of the tree. I could be completely wrong about this, but if you're on T10 and you're using a mind cage to make it T11, you're essentially wasting a mind cage. You just turn it up to T11. There's no point in adjusting the monster level, as far as I can tell, until you are speed farming T12 and one-shotting most of the bosses, but also have the toughness because this is going to really up the damage. So once you're ready to start doing that end game loop, by the way, the Butcher has tons of extra health. He has obnoxious CC that comes out of nowhere, and then he'll just start out of nowhere doing tons of damage to you. So adding and encountering the Butcher anywhere of your own volition. And by the way, Flaming Chains is from um, Diablo 3, and it is an obnoxious affix on elites in Diablo 3. So do with that what you will. You're eventually going to want to start farming these. So when you're speed farming, just specking into this, you can probably ditch. Yeah. Actually, no, I probably wouldn't ditch Duriel. I probably always maintain Duriel. I definitely consider ditching Hell's Prize at some point. You can actually wean back this tree and slowly start putting points over here. If those uniques that these Hellborn are dropping aren't that great, Infernal Rites go either way. It's probably not that great, but hey, give it a shot, see what happens. The nice thing is that there's certain uniques that don't appear to have a drop location. Um, Endurant Faith and Fists of Fate, I believe, are two items I have yet to encounter organically. I'll only see them in massive unique um, pools of items, but there's no way to target farm them that I have discovered. So this may be one of the ways you can target farm stuff. I haven't tested it out yet, but there you go. Um, and eventually you're just gonna have more sources of mine cages. So when you're ready to start farming mine cages, this is how you do it. Anyhow, thank you so much. Hopefully that helped you out. Remember that when you're going to a Helltide, the what's in the chest is not necessarily as important as just knocking the chests out quickly. I personally don't open the amulet or the weapon chests anymore. I did for a period of time, and I will go back to doing that, and I probably will spec black into I probably will spec back into Bloodseekers once I get to my Giga Helltide farming mine cage setup. So I assume that with like 3 mine cages active, I assume you can have 3 mine cages active because that was how it was in the past. That the loot in Helltides will be the premium loot in the game, and so then at that point, specking back into Bloodseekers is probably going to be the play because that's how you're going to get the multi GA ancestrals to finish out your character. But until then, I don't anticipating that being advantageous. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it helped you out. Thanks. Have a good one.